Welcome to Simple Healthy Life, where our goal is to have real, insightful conversations on topics that we find interesting. And today we've got special guest Jair, and Jair is a very accomplished jiu-jitsu practitioner, and we wanted to sit down with him and have a conversation on just jiu-jitsu in general. And he owns a school, BTT Taunton, and I would love to have everyone kind of understand a little bit about your history, specifically in regards to jiu-jitsu and some of those accolades. So feel free to introduce yourself a little bit.
Okay, so as you say, my name is Jair Morselli, and basically I started jiu-jitsu in 1996, and then I came to the U.S. in '98. I started training at BTT Boston, and eventually I was living a little too far from the school. I was actually at that point, when I moved here, I was living in Brockton. So then I found the DECO. That's when I started training there,
Yeah.
So I kept going until probably maybe 8 years ago. That's when I opened BTT Taunton.
So when you like departed from the previous school, how did you merge with BTT?
Well, I was already friend of the owner in Boston.
Yeah.
So as soon as I moved far away to Berkeley. I talked to the owner there, Daniel, and Daniel gave me at first I just started training there because I was working in Everett. He's like, you should try to open your own gym. You've been training for so long. So then I found a spot in Taunton, and then we started working. And he's like, I really decided to put the name BTT Taunton.
Yeah, yeah. And so obviously it's a very successful school. Yeah, tell the audience a little bit about the school as it is right now, and some of your training and competitions as of like right now, the last year or two.
Okay, so basically the last couple of years I end up getting podium on the Worlds, no gi, Masters Division, podiums on the pants, no gi, Masters Division. I just fought ADCC Masters. I ended up winning. I think it was 185 division. And I'm always competing opens when I'm healthy. Sometimes get little injuries here and there. You can't really compete. So then I pull back a little bit. And the school is we have classes. We have a couple of classes a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 6 a.m. We have 11 a.m. no gi, 12 p.m. gi, and we have like 5 p.m. no gi, and then every night we have 6 p.m. gi. And as you guys know, we have weekends as well, like 8 a.m. classes.
Yeah.
And then you've had the kids program now for quite some time.
Oh yes, absolutely. We have I forgot to mention the kids program. The kids program, we have actually two programs in this school. We have the regular kids that just want to do jiu-jitsu and they don't want to compete, or they just want to do a couple times a week, 3 times a week, which is completely fine. That's Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, 1 hour each day. And then we have the kids that like to compete. We probably have around like 25 kids that's in the second program. Wow. And they train pretty much 2 hours a day, 6 days a week. So it's 12 hours of training per week.
Wow. And now this kids program, the competitive kids program, from what I've seen, has been doing amazing, right?
Yeah, they're doing pretty well. Like every grappling industry that we compete locally, we got first or second. We always bring the team trophy home.
Yeah.
And as you guys see on the wall there, we have like for the last 2 years, we probably have 20 trophies there. They just very consistent on their training. I'm very proud of that program because it's working so well for us.
Yeah.
The gym is filled to the brim with
Yes.
It's like first place kids medals. I mean medals in general, but specifically the kids, it's like you're running out of wall space.
Yes. I have third places. I don't even put on the wall anymore. We keep the third place for second place.
Yeah. That's amazing. So then, so you've been training jiu-jitsu over 30 years then?
Yeah, I mean, I started in 1996, so it will be 28 years.
Wow. Okay, 28. Yeah. Wow. Amazing.
Getting old.
Yeah. When did you start? Like what age?
96. 16 years old.
16.
Yeah, I did judo before, because growing up in Brazil, they had the choice. Like when you went to school, to high school, they have the choice. You want to do soccer, you want to do volleyball, but you also have the judo there. You know, and my mother, I always like single person sports for some reason, and so judo, I started doing judo because of that. You know,
Okay. And
more
then you
than team
transitioned.
sports, huh?
So then, did you do any jiu-jitsu in Brazil, or when you came
Yes,
here?
in '96, I did jiu-jitsu in Brazil for 2.5 years before I came to the U.S.
What was that like? Was that different?
It was, well, in '96, it was a very beginning stage of jiu-jitsu everywhere. Like in São Paulo, where I live, that's a big city. It's like New York here. We had like maybe 3 schools in the whole city, you know, which is, it's not very much, you
Yeah,
know.
for a big city.
We kind of like, people didn't really like jiu-jitsu. They ever thought of it, say, you do jiu-jitsu, they would take MMA. And not many people like MMA back then, you know. Nowadays, it's very popular. Everybody knows, everybody watch, but wasn't back then. So I had to get a bus, probably go like 45 minutes just to get to the school.
Really?
45 minutes back, and I was 16 years old, so I would do twice a week, sometimes 3. You know, depends on my mother let me do it. You know, but as far as the amount of people, wasn't a lot of people doing it at the time. At the school itself, was maybe we had maybe like 20 people that would do it, jiu-jitsu, but the judo side was gigantic. You know, a lot of judo players.
Really?
Yeah.
So when I think of, I guess when I think of black belts in general, but specifically you, I don't really think about the Jair that was coming up. Like, can you give us a little insight into like what it was like to go through like your, you know, the blue belt, you know, purple belt, like?
Yeah. Well, so jiu-jitsu back then, it was kind of really tough. Like, you go to the school, they want to beat you up. That's how it was. They want to beat you up, and I feel like just the person that really crazy will come back the next day, because there wasn't a lot of money involved, none of that stuff. So really, the teacher would teach. They make a little money, not a lot. So I think the guys that would stay, the guys really want to learn, you know. So it was very rough. You see a lot of people don't stay. They will come by, they try, and then don't come back, you know. A lot, just like revolving door, you know. But some of the guys stay around, you know. I stay around, and I kept doing it. I really liked it. I know. I think I like, because I saw the UFC, the first UFC, you know, and I saw the Royce Gracie. I think a lot of people can relate to that. I saw Royce Gracie, small guy, skinny, winning everything, and then I think, oh, okay, that's interesting. Because up to then, just like everybody else, I did karate, I did judo, I did all those things, you know. And then when I see that, I was like, oh, you know, I want to learn that, you know.
Because it's so powerful. Yeah.
It is, especially like MMA, like at that beginning stage, you know.
It showed the game.
Sports against sports, you know.
Yeah. How old were you when you got your black belt?
I was probably late 20s, because I had a little gap on my 20s, because when I moved from, like I said in the beginning, from BTT to the deck wasn't there yet. So for a couple years I didn't train. You know, I kind of stopped training. And then when he opened, I went back to train, you know. Because it was too far. It was like probably an hour and something with traffic, going there and come back. And now I'm married and all these things. So I had to kind of take a break.
So what was it that kept like bringing you back to jiu-jitsu? You're saying like, okay, I'm training at 16 and I'm taking the bus 45 minutes and it's a pain in the butt, and I don't know if your mom supported it or not, but like what brought you back? Like, what about the sport did you love?
I was just fascinated with the sport in general, and I was always like renting. Like back then, we used to a UFC fight. They didn't have a TV, so we have to get VCR to watch. So I kept going to the store to see when the next UFC or next Pride will come, so I can watch. So, and also at that time they had local tournaments, like local MMA tournaments in Brazil. Here, I don't think they had it here, but they had it there. So I was always into that, you know. I was watching every weekend. I was like on they have like a DirecTV in Brazil. Then my mother signed up, so I was always looking to see what's next, who's gonna fight next, you know, magazine. It's just like when some people really into soccer, some people into basketball. I was really into jiu-jitsu, you know. So that made me like the drive to go and, you know, stay on the bus and come back and.
What brought you to the States?
Well, when I finished high, my parents moved here a year before I moved with my kid, with my brother, and my sister, and I was in my last year of high school. So I stayed there, finished. I was living with my grandmother. As soon as I finished, then I moved here.
Nice. Nice. So you're,
And at first I didn't want to stay. I really want to go back. I want to go college in Brazil because they didn't have. It's funny because I didn't want to stay because they didn't have any jiu-jitsu school. You know, I was like I was looking for a jiu-jitsu school. I couldn't find it. There was only 2 jiu-jitsu schools that I found. It was BTT. They just opened, and then there was Roberto Maia all the way in Newton. You know, so it was kind of far. I was like, you know, I just want to go back. I just want to go to college and keep doing jiu-jitsu. You know, but then my mother for me to do wrestling, high school, because I did the last year high school here too. You know, then I end up going there, and then end up staying.
meet people you like.
Yeah,
Fine,
you
so-
made friends because you know what is when 17 years old, 18 years old, you really miss your friends.
Yeah.
I mean, we are already older, we miss your friends. At that age, it's even bigger, you know, especially when you don't speak the language.
Did you
No.
not? Did you speak English?
No, when I came here, no.
No?
I didn't speak English. When I wrestled, I had no clue what the coaches were saying. I was just, I was just looking what are they doing, you know, and trying to copy. You know?
Wow.
So
How did you do? Do you remember?
I did pretty well, but I ended up torn my labrum. Then I had to pull it out, you know. I was wrestling at 160 for Brockton High.
For Brockton, no
Brockton
kidding.
High, yeah.
Wow.
I probably did for like 3 or 4 months, and then I ended up torn my labrum. You know, then I had to stop.
Awesome.
And then so jiu-jitsu has been a big part of your life, I mean, since 16 years old. And in combat sports, I mean, in martial arts, since you can remember. But
Right.
you had a big chunk, I mean, if I recall correctly, you went to business school and did all
Yes.
that. So that was, what, you went to college like right after high school? Is that how
No,
it worked? No?
no.
Okay.
So after high school, I ended up getting my real estate license, you know, and then I started selling real estate. I went back to college when I was 30. I was
Oh,
30
really?
years old,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Then I got my bachelor's, accounting finance. Then I got a job, and then when I got a job, they paid me for my master's degree. Then I did my MBA. And at this whole time, I was working a second shift. So I would train jiu-jitsu in the morning, then go to my job, you know, and work on my job.
Did you meet your wife around this time?
No, I met her on the early 2000s.
Oh,
So,
wow.
so we married for a while. In 2024, we married. So 20 years this year. You know?
Wow. Wow. And now, I mean, I'm feel fortunate to watch and see what you do with the kids program, and I know that
You helped me a lot before. So.
Oh,
Helped my daughter as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask about V. Like, just I've seen for those of you who don't know, I got to be around the sport of wrestling for a long time and see parents want so badly for their kids to be great wrestlers or to be great jiu-jitsu practitioners. Like, what's that like? Like, she's very successful now, right?
Yeah.
She seems like she's winning everything.
Yeah.
What's that like, kind of growing a program of kids, but then also, you know, having your kid be a part of it?
Yeah, so our program, at first we started just like any school. Like we have few kids, and then we started working 3 days a week, 2 days a week. And then eventually it started picking up. It was right after the pandemic that we started having kids coming from other schools because the school closed, and we're still running our program. And some of those kids were competitors, you know. So we started tailoring a little bit for competitors. We have both. We had the regular, casual people that just want to train, which is completely fine. And we had some of the kids that want to compete, you know. And my daughter, at first, she didn't want to compete, you know. But I told her, like, you don't need to do jiu-jitsu, but you got to do something. At that time, she was doing soccer, I think. And she was tired of soccer. And then she's like, no, okay, I want to do jiu-jitsu. Okay. And the beginning, she didn't take serious. You know, it kind of upset me at first. I was like, come on, we got to do something. But I saw that she didn't have much into her. So then I was like, my wife, like, just let her be. Let her, if she wants to do it, she does. If she does, at least she's doing it. So that's when I stepped back as a coach, you know, and I let other coach work for her. And then I started seeing her flourish more. She getting more involved. you know, in the first tournament, like she never competed as a white belt. She went straight to gray belt because she got a gray belt from another school. In the beginning, she lost probably like the first 4 tournaments. You know, it was disaster. I think that kind of messed up her confidence. You know, but when she started turning the corner, that she started winning, then I see she really interest. You know, then I see she actually want to learn the technique. She want to win on the gym. You know, want to do better in the gym. You know, and that's like okay. I think she started liking her. You know, and nowadays she comes from school. She rushed to her homework. Like okay, we're going to the gym. We're going to the gym. So she really, as right now, she really loves it what she's doing. You know?
That's awesome.
You know, I think too because it's a community thing. Like she got a lot of friends that compete. You know, I think they all push each other. You know.
Yeah, what would you say? I have my theories on what it means for kids to join a martial art like this. Like, what would you say?
You've been teaching wrestling for 10 years, something
Yeah,
like that. You taught wrestling for 10
almost 15 now.
Oh yeah.
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 And I see multiple examples of kids that come out of their shell.
Yeah.
You know, they build that confidence. Like, what kind of things do you see? Like, what would you say to parents that are like on the fence, like the people that don't understand the sport, that think maybe it's violent or it's tough or they'd get hurt? Like, what kind of things would you say to those people?
For the kids,
Yeah.
I think they just don't have the parents sometimes they don't have a very understanding how it is, how it works, and how the kids they're so resilient. You know, for them to fall and something like that, it's not a big deal. You know, a lot of the parents like they very scared that the kid's gonna get hurt. I hear that all the time. I'm sure you heard that too.
Yeah.
And even on the point that one pro kid's touching the other kid, on the beginning we have a hard time with that because they so used to say, oh, keep personal space, especially the little guys. Say, guys, you gotta grab each other, you know, you gotta. So we have to work through that process first, you know. Then we go to the next one that will be like take him down, you know. But in my opinion, that's kind of the opposite. They're not gonna get hurt. I mean, sometimes it happens, but it's very rare, you know, especially the kids.
Yeah.
You know. And yeah.
Yeah, they're very pliable kids.
They fall, they get up. It's not they have. I sometimes they on their knees and they fell back. Like, oh my god. Then I forget they're kids.
Yeah.
The adults will definitely get hurt, but the kids, no, their knees fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and especially now, I mean, the last couple of years where we've been in that kind of like, we had the pandemic and we had the social distancing or whatever they mentioned, and the kids were doing online school, and with technology, everything being so distant, so remote, and to have jiu-jitsu where you're in the physical space of other people and you're getting close, like that's, you know, as an adult and obviously been doing it for many years, like I can see the benefits of that, of being close with people. But for kids, I mean, that's got to be especially important right now and these
100%.
days. Yeah, yeah.
Especially with the technology, because they're so used to just text each other, Snapchat each other, you know. And then now we're gonna close encounter. Yeah. It's not even a 1-on-1. It's like too close, you know.
Yeah.
I think it's a great tool for the kids. You know, it helps them on long run. You know, build a relationship, be able to be close proximity to somebody. It's funny. Like when we were a kid, it was completely normal. Now it's a little bit different.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, not to mention what you said. I mean, just about V. Like, she did start by losing.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
She started by
the first
losing.
4 tournaments. She lost all the matches.
Yeah, and then not giving up, and that resilience, and then they're physically and mentally resilient, and come back, and now to have built probably a community of friends around. You know, and I mean, for me, even just as an adult, I can say that the people that I get to train with tend to become my closest friends because we're going through hard stuff together. You know, we're pushing each other, challenging each other, sweating. That old adage, the blood, sweat, and tears.
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
those are things that I would say people that don't get that, they don't really experience it. They don't know what that's like.
Right.
It brings you closer together.
Right. Especially kids. I mean, if they're not doing something, they're not really having that like, ooh, I failed and then I got better. And that's such an important lesson for, I mean, not only kids, but just humans in general. And so jiu-jitsu offers that opportunity for them to go in and be bad. That's a beautiful thing about jiu-jitsu. No one starts good. You're not starting.
Everybody starts
yeah,
bad.
yeah. Especially if you haven't had any other martial arts history. Like when you step on the mats for the first time, you're terrible, and that's the beauty of it. And in fact, like I find like as I progress in my skill, it's like sometimes I kind of miss being that, that unknowledgeable, not skillful, right? It's there's something nice about that, the progress of growth there. But you must see that kind of like confidence flourish with a lot of the kids.
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
And they even like, you can see the kids like they getting the technique. They learn the technique, but they can't do anything. They can't do a sweep. They sweep like you on the bottom and then you switch for the top. For you guys that don't know, but as soon as they hit a technique, you can see that like, oh, okay, actually that stuff work. Sweep work, or takedown works. A pass work. So you can see that, and you see that to the adults too. A new person walk in on the beginning, they just nothing works pretty much. They don't nothing works. They're just getting people just working on them. And then the first time one thing works, they're like, oh, okay, that finally work on somebody, And then you started getting your level up, work on the white belts. Now we're gonna work on the blue belt. Now work on the purple belt. You know how it is, like when you're getting a new technique and you started on the lower level and then you start escalating for the higher belts.
Yeah. It's funny, there was one of the kids recently, very quiet kid, small kid, and he had won PANS. He had a really amazing competition. It was kind of one of those like underdog stories that he experienced, and never really saw much of the kid in the gym because he was always just part of the program and would like drill and do his thing. But the day after he wins this like bigger competition, he steps in the gym and he's like this, and he's on the adults. he's with the adults, and he's like he's being just being a little bit playful with them and interacting more. And you could literally see the transformation of that competition gave him in that moment. And I thought it was so funny. He's super cute. You must know who I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. Like he was the last seed on that tournament.
Yeah.
Really?
I think they have 35 kids, and he was the last, number 35.
Wow.
Nobody knew him because it was the first IBJJF tournament he ever done it, and he ended up winning, which is crazy. And every single match he would start like losing, and then he found a way to reverse the position, which is crazy.
That's awesome.
It was a nice day for him for sure.
Yeah.
And then the funny thing, like at that PANS, a lot of our kids did well. We had 5 kids that medal at that day. Vivian was one; she got her place. So I was happy with that difference between last year and this year.
Mm-hmm.
The kids program.
Yeah, yeah. So then, so you've been doing jiu-jitsu so much, and you've for so long, and you've trained hard. I mean, throughout that, and you've been competing pretty much the whole time, essentially. Or,
I mean, when I had huge injuries, sometimes we get some injuries.
Yeah.
Then we have to stop for a little bit.
Yeah. How do you, as of right now, I mean, how do you maintain the recovery and all the training that you do? How do you keep your body just going?
I think lifting weights is one thing that I didn't do when I was younger.
Yeah.
That I regret it. Because I can see the difference between when I was younger, on the 30s, I didn't lift anyways.
Yeah.
But my injuries I was injuries way more than I am right now. I get injuries right now, but little ones. Like just maybe I pull a muscle, my hamstring muscle, take a couple weeks off, it's back in the mat. But not like a hard injury, like torn my meniscus, things like that. That's one thing I think you should be doing, lifting weights at least couple 2 to 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Just to keep your body strong, your muscle strong. A lot of right now it's pretty normal, but when I started, it wasn't. It was actually like a little bit stigma.
Really?
Yeah, it was a stigma like, oh, it's gonna make you stiff, which makes no sense. But back then it did make sense for us, which.
Well, back then it was like the body. It was the body. When you lift weights, you were a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
And then you're like, and that makes sense because you don't want to be a bodybuilder in jiu-jitsu, but you got to be strong.
Yeah, you got to be strong. There is a stigma that we're gonna lose our flexibility, which if you stretch, even if you lift weight, you're gonna be flexible, and you don't need to be so flexible to a point. I think if you be too flexible, it's kind of bad too, because you get hurt more.
Yeah.
You know. But I think the weight training actually helps me with my recovery. Also helps me with keep me together, especially since I'm not young anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and I do a couple and make sure I eat proper too. You know, like I eat enough protein every day. You know, I give some vegetables, fruits. I don't drink. I don't do none of that stuff. You know, try to sleep well, just like regular stuff to help you recover. Really, you know.
It's funny he says regular stuff, right?
For, regular
For
stuff.
us,
Yeah.
no, for us,
For us, it's
like,
regular stuff.
Yeah, it's
That's
regular
true.
stuff. But like the most people are like,
That's true.
oh, I should probably eat good. You know, they know this stuff, but they're not actively engaged in doing it.
Yeah, it's true. It's because we, like as a community, we kind of do it already without even thinking.
Yeah.
You know, because it's funny. My mother-in-law, she come to the house like, oh, let's buy a drink and stuff. I say, I don't drink. She's like, why not? Everybody drinks. Just drink. I mean, she's not alcoholic, but she drinks a little, you know,
Yeah.
here and there. Like, I just don't. I don't know.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu is nice because it gives you a reason to eat well. It gives you a reason to strength train. It gives you a reason to be physically active. It gives you a reason to connect with people, and that's what people lack, I think, a lot of the time. It's like, why strength train when I'm not doing, you know, I'm not getting anything out of it, you know, and sometimes it's just pure vanity. I want to strength train to look bigger, but it's not a really great motivator, and that's why people, I think, tend to fall off a little bit. But it's nice to have a purpose. Like I'm eating for a purpose. I'm strength training for a purpose. I'm training for a purpose. Even if that purpose is like, I mean, jiu-jitsu is not, you know, life or death, but it is important, right? It's important to you, and you've made a career out of it, and I think that's really remarkable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So I got to ask, one thing that I love about your school, and I imagine I'm not going to give you the answer because I want to know the answer, is the culture that you built, right? When I'm there, every single person says the same thing. They're like, everybody in this gym wants you to be successful. There's nobody there that, like you said, when you were 16, that was just going to beat you up, right? Yeah. And like, and I know you, and I see you. You're not actively policing it. You're not telling people not to do things. But for some reason, the culture that you've built is one that welcomes people in and people stay. Like, how'd you do that? Did you have a conscious decision to kind of do it that way, or is it just because of who you are?
It was not a conscious decision. I do some, like, for example, if I see somebody really hurt somebody or going too hard, yeah, I'll come by and like, you're a black belt, you're beating up a blue belt, you know, you gotta scale down, you know. And also you see some of the blue belts that just came to the gym, they go too rough, which is completely fine to go rough as long as the other guy is okay too, you know.
Yeah.
You don't want to go rough, the other person doesn't match the energy, you know. So that's one thing that I do usually, other than that. But I think too, like the fact that we do the open mat every day, there's actually, I think, in my opinion, might not be true. It helps build rapport with each other, you know, because okay, we finish class, because my old gym, we finish class, everybody out of the door. So it was kind of hard for me to build a rapport with you because I would maybe talk to you only on a row with you for a couple of minutes. After that, we talk in the changing room, then we'll go home. At the gym, I mean, a couple of things why I did the open mat every day is we have the chance to train more. You know, you want to do your drills, you can do your drills. You want to do your train, you can do your train. But also we have the opportunity to talk to each other, maybe become friends, good friends. You know, I can see those guys like you guys, like a lot of the guys have different groups that they go out and stuff. You know, he has like Alec, you know, Erica, you guys, you know. So I think that helps building a little bit of community, you know.
Cool, I love that. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, some other gyms too, if you decide to go and train with a friend at another gym, you're going to get reprimanded, or you know the person's going to even say you can't come back to this gym, or maybe they'll be very strict about how to go about I guess like the activities of the gym, right? So for example, one of the gyms that I came from previously, if you didn't do things as I see it as respectful, then you know it was very shunned. But I think what's nice about the culture of BTT Taunton is that the respectful approach to everything is appreciated, but it's not necessarily obligated, and so that it makes it friendly because I think everyone's just trying to get in there, have a good time. Not everyone knows the rules. Not everyone knows what is exactly expected. Not everyone knows that it might be disrespectful to train at another gym, but it doesn't seem like you have a lot of these like set rules, which I think makes it a very open place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I did have the same problem, like I went to another gym at one point, and my old professor got upset about it. It was not for a reason. It was just because the whole week will close the gym, and then it was a vacation week,
Yeah.
and I like, come on, I'm not working this whole vacation. I need to get a train. We barely close our gym. We keep pretty open in most of the holidays, but I think people have to have the right to do whatever they want as far as going to other places and stuff because they're adults. Everybody's an adult. My job there is to teach and let them have a good time. Now, what they do outside the gym, I feel like it's not my job to tell like, oh, you're not supposed to go in there. You're supposed to go. I think it's up to you guys to do.
Right. Right.
So.
And I think that then that naturally yields to people taking care of the gym or
Yes.
people like then training at the gym because I have really no inclination to go, like especially if we're open, I have no inclination to train anywhere else because I just don't really want to. But I think if that rule were in place, maybe I would.
It might maybe make me force. Why this guy wants to control?
Yeah.
No, I think
Right.
in this day of age, I think you allowed to go other place, go try. Maybe wanna try a different person. Maybe you wanna go because you've been training with the same people. You wanna try something different. Why not?
Yeah, that's a really funny thing for me. Coming as a wrestler, like we would seek out other places to train because
Right.
you want to compete against other people. And then when I transitioned to jiu-jitsu, to hear that there were places that didn't want you to do that,
There are places that kick you out.
yeah, it didn't make much sense to me. But you've always, I think I can tell you genuinely just want what's best for everybody. You just want them to get better. Go ahead, do whatever you got to do. And that leads me to my next question. Whenever I see on the internet and on Instagram specifically, and we'll give you his handle, whenever I see you promoting somebody, right, when their belt, you always have just as big a smile as the person that got promoted. What's that feel like to you to be able to promote somebody?
I think it's a great accomplishment for me and for the person, because think about it. Let's say if you get promoted for a blue belt, you started pretty much don't know anything. Now you put the time, you learn a technique, and the fact that you stick around, for that long, it's like, okay, he got to a point. The first goal, right? Your first goal will be get your blue belt. I mean, people have other goals, but I think in the belt system is your first goal, So that makes me happy for the person yourself, Ryan's a brown belt, going to black belt soon. You a blue belt, So this is all little accomplishment. I think the same as accomplished to you is also for me as well, as the coach.
You can tell. I see. And what's your Instagram handle?
I have BTT Ton, and then we have my Jair Morselli.
Yeah. So if you guys, when you're done listening to this, follow those, and when you scroll through, you'll see that every single person that is in that belt upgrade situation, he's smiling just as much as they are.
Yeah.
Another thing that I like a lot too on the open mat that I forgot to mention, like I see too, like because me as a teacher, there's so much I can help people during the class. I see a lot of people help each other too. That helps, like Ryan, for example. I see him all the time getting help, like techniques. The blue belt coming up to him. How do you do this lasso guard? How do you do this sweep? So he takes his time of training to help the other person. Coach Tyler does the same thing. He helps me a lot on the kids program. He's my right hand on the kids program. I think all this you can see on the open mat, kind of. The people that stay afterwards. I think they can learn it more, if not the same as in the class, because you have a direct one-on-one with somebody. So he's there, I'm here, I'm there. You come up to me and ask him anything, I'm gonna take my time and help you out.
I love that. Yeah, that is truly remarkable too, is that you offer your time whenever asked. I've never seen you ever turn down requests for assistance. And you could say, well, sign up for my,
Oh,
private lesson or whatever, but every time I've asked you
yeah,
something, you've more than willing to put in sometimes up to 30, 45 minutes of just direct one-to-one
I
attention,
appreciate
and
it.
it makes a big difference because yeah, some gym leaders or whatever you want to call them, um, they aren't doing that, and they see themselves as above,
Yeah,
and there's this like hierarchy of the gym. But I think the way that you lead the gym is very much non-hierarchical. You put yourself on the same plane as everyone else, and I think that speaks a lot about you as a person, and a leader. And I think that's why people feel good about staying loyal to the gym, and,
yeah,
and putting in the time and helping lower belts and
yep,
doing what they can. It's just because of you're not doing anything particularly consciously. You're just being yourself, and
yeah,
and that leads to that kind of gym
yeah.
culture.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Another thing, like I roll with everybody. Like
Hmm.
I a lot of the gyms, because I've been in other gyms many years. Some of the instructors don't even roll anymore. I roll with everybody. Even if a new black belt comes to the gym from another gym, I'll roll with them first day.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter if it's younger, older. You know, I mean, I think I'm should the first one to throw my foot in the fire.
Right.
I really do, and it doesn't matter. I mean, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but I think that's one thing that I try to put in. Which I don't need anymore. I'm on 45 years old. So, but I just feel that's the right thing to do. And I also feel it's great to try a different person. Just walk in, hey, let me work with this guy.
Yeah.
I love it.
And just well, maybe one of the last topics, but I find it particularly interesting, especially with you. How do you feel about managing your ego in jujitsu? Because there's a lot of people who will come into gyms and feel the need to win, and when you're training, it's not necessarily like a win-lose
Yeah,
thing. You can be working different positions or whatnot, but it is something that always kind of like creeps up on the background, even for someone who is a mindful person.
yeah.
But how have you managed that to keep your ego kind of like in check?
I don't know. I mean, I guess you gotta be comfortable losing too. You
Mm,
know, especially like with a student. I might be the one of the gym, but the gym doesn't mean I'm gonna be always be the one beating everybody in the gym. You know. So I have to feel comfortable to lose to your students at some point.
mm,
You're getting old, that student coming up, at some point he's gonna get better than you. You gotta be, it's just how it is.
mhm,
In wrestling, the same thing. At some point, the student's gonna be the coach. So you have to be okay with that. I know it's gonna be hard, but I think with more times that you in the mat, you're gonna feel more comfortable too. I mean, nobody wants to lose, but at some point you're gonna start it. And then I tell myself like I'm 45 years old. I know this new guy is gonna come up at some point. I'm gonna start beating me. So I just have to be comfortable with that. I know it's not easy for anyone.
mm,
You see young guys, they just don't want to lose anything. But also on the end of the spectrum, there are guys that don't care about losing. So you have to find the middle ground where you don't want to lose, but you also better be okay with losing.
mm.
That's how you grow.
Right.
It's funny because when you're white belt, you're okay losing. You're losing all the time.
Yeah.
And then as you started growing, when you started maybe purple, brown, you don't want to lose anymore. You're not okay with lose anymore. You gotta turn it to be a white belt again. You gotta be okay to lose.
Yeah, yeah. And the point that MJ brought up earlier about how appreciative you are of people growing in their own right, and I'm
Oh,
sure that you see
absolutely.
that as a coach when someone gets a better position or this or that. It's like there definitely is. I remember this doesn't happen often. Maybe one time I've gotten a good position on you, right? And
More
and
than one.
and the first thing you said was, "Wow, that was amazing." You did, like the other
The
day,
butterfly
like,
sweep was
yeah,
beautiful.
like swept you, and I was happy because I've been working that, and,
Uh-huh.
and and to get it on someone like you is achievement in its own right. But the first thing you said was, "Wow, that was amazing,"
Yep.
and that's unique. I've done that to other people who are, black belts and very accomplished, and the first thing that they say is, "Well, I'm sick, I'm this, I'm that." I'm this." I'm like, it's like completely negating my sense of achievement, but you have no problem bolstering that, and I think that's.
I went again. You swept me twice on the same sweep, and it was funny because I felt like, no, he's not gonna sweep me here. I'm good here, and he tossed me around. I was like, okay, I like that. Because now it makes me wanna okay, I gotta figure out how not to let him sweep. That helps my game as well, not only his game.
Right.
So that was nice, very nice. It was similar stuff that Nick.
Yeah, exactly.
Similar stuff.
Yeah, and that's what's nice about having people come in and out of the gym.
Different
is that
person.
You get that kind of experience, and I've even noticed from that particular person that I have a big part of my game now that was influenced by him.
By him,
And,
especially because you guys have such a similar body type, which we completely opposite body type. I'm short, stock, you like lean and tall. So you probably got a lot of stuff from him that works for you.
Yeah, that's great. Cool. Do you have any thoughts? Any closing thoughts on?
Closing thoughts, man. I'm grateful that you did this.
I appreciate
I'm
you guys
glad
having me, guys.
to hear a little bit about the history. I'm always interested in like how you came to be you. For the audience, I mean, I think you probably got what I got out of this. That incredible at jiu-jitsu, but better person, great businessman. Your business is thriving. The culture you bring, it makes it feel like anybody can do it. And the truth is, anybody can do it. You just got to keep doing it. You got to keep showing up.
Yes.
Keep working at it. And I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for all the opportunity to speak with you today.
I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah. And Jair, do you have any closing thoughts? People who are interested in jiu-jitsu, any wise words?
Well, if you're interested in jiu-jitsu, I think you just gotta find a school close to your house. Check the environment, see if it's a safe environment, especially if you're not very athletic. And keep your toes in, try the class. And I'm sure there are plenty of schools everywhere nowadays, So I just think, just like Mike say, you just gotta do it and keep following through.
Just keep showing up.
Just keep showing up. That's it. There's
it.
no magical pill, nothing.
Yeah, I love it. Well, great. Yeah, thank you both so much. And if you want to check us out, we're on Spotify, we're on all other podcast platforms, and we will catch you next time.